Hello, everybody. This is the Stronghold podcast, and I'm here with Jiu Jitsu black belt head coach at Gracie Barra Singapore, Bruno Amorim. What's up, man?
Not much, man. Especially now.
Yeah, not much now.
Just hanging out and trying to get by.
How you holding up, dude? No rolling for how long has it been since you get the house rolls, you get the wife rolls and stuff like that? But
yeah, we actually closed the gym before the circuit breaker was announced, so we've been closed since March 27th. So it's been a while.
Yeah, how is this the longest break you've taken, and how long from rolling regular training?
Actually, I had a longer break before. I had I had a bike accident in Brazil, a motorbike, and I had to do like 2 knee surgeries, 9 screws. So yeah, that one was a long road. So it was about 7 months without real training, and then a whole year without competing.
How long were you a black belt already when you had the injury?
Yes, I had just got my black belt.
Oh, and right when you're ready to go into the tournament scene.
Yeah.
Oh, that's rough, man.
I had like 1 year as a black belt, and then that happened.
So yeah, this is tough. Hey, all the gyms are struggling, ready to get out of phase 2 into phase 3, get some contact sports going around. I see this petition circulating online that you guys have been sharing, trying to bring back the contact sports.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing negative we can say about the Singapore government at handling the situation, because I mean, they did a fantastic job. They supported a lot of businesses, but we just would like to see the country is trying to slowly and safely reopen, and that's great. But we'd like to see a little bit of that on our industry as well, because ever since we were allowed to reopen on June 19th, the weddings got upgraded, the number of people, funerals, movie theaters reopened, but there has been no loosening for contact sports. Yeah. Like we're still with the same set of rules that we had, 3 months ago. So like it would be nice to see a little change on that. That's all we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, and it would be really nice if at least we had some kind of time frame.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing, because
projection, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because if they were like, okay, it's going to be October, it's going to be November, then you can kind of at least start to plan.
Yeah, because
start to figure out.
And Singapore has a very strong business culture, right? And every reasonable business needs to be able to forecast. And right now, what can we forecast?
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to look tomorrow or 2 months from now.
Even the circuit breaker, right? They announced the end of the circuit breaker, and it was like 1 week and a half or something.
Yeah.
Do you remember that shit? Everybody was like going mad trying to I don't know what it was like for you, but once they announced the end of the circuit breaker, we spent like 6 hours going through all of the different rules, regulations, restrictions. What are we allowed to do? What are we not allowed to do? We sent back and forth messages to everybody trying to figure this shit out.
Yeah, for us it was the same, because we first got the end of circuit breaker, right? So we got the MOH guidelines, and it was like groups of 5, a meter apart. If social distancing is not possible amongst people, then they have to be a meter apart from each other, the groups of 5. I was like, okay, great. So we had the whole thing scheduled. Like we had the schedule ready. We have the whole thing set up.
Hey, Zozo with the sneak attack.
What's up?
I said, Zozo, we should just have you come on and do like 15 minutes of stand-up on the podcast. All right, we'll see you, bro. That's okay. Crash the podcast, bro. It's all good.
Yeah, all good. So like we got the MOH guidelines. So I was like, okay, that's great. We can work with this. 5 people is a little limiting, but it's all good. And then we learned that no, we need to wait for the guidelines from Sports SG. And then when those guidelines, they came back, I think like Wednesday evening, and
then we opened up on Friday, right?
Yeah, I was like, oh smack! Now we have to redo everything we had done, and I mean, at that point, all I wanted was like, okay, at least we can open, we can see people again, we can get out of this weird situation, right? Yeah. And socialize again. But to be honest, I thought that the loosening up of the measures would happen a little faster. Like once we've been 1 community case, like single digit community case for a few weeks now.
Yeah, less than 10.
Yeah, so I expect that once we hit that, we would see a little bit of a loosening up on our end, because to be honest, to be the way it is, I'd rather that we're still on circuit breaker, because then you're not allowed to open, right? So then you'd have a little backup from the government in terms of rental subsidies and local workforce subsidies. But I mean, we'll see. Hopefully we can. We're meeting with the Sports SG chairman on Wednesday, so maybe we'll see. I mean, we have a safe plan to reopen, a few suggestions to make, and maybe it yield something positive.
Well, I do think that there are some positive steps that you can see pretty recently. Like they opened up travel between New Zealand and Brunei coming here. So they're opening up tourism in limited areas. I heard some rumors. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but whatever. No one knows who told me. I heard some rumors that one championship is planning on they're planning activities for October. Now, of course, in phase 2, they're not allowed to do any big sporting events like that. So if they're kind of looking at maybe doing that, maybe they've heard some hint.
Yeah, it's possible.
October or something like that. That would be nice. So it does seem like the worst is behind us.
Yep.
The time frame is just the question now, but it seems like things are finally starting to improve. They've got all the foreign dormitories tested. That was the big one. So that happened like 2 weeks ago, where they finally finished testing all the people in the foreign dormitories, which is where most of the cases came from.
Yeah.
So once all of those people were tested, now we're having single-digit cases every day. I think the worst is behind us.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's nothing negative that we can say about how the Singapore government has been handling this, especially, I guess, you and me, right? Because, I mean, your country is number 1, my country is number 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so like, who are we to be talking about it?
How is the response in Brazil? I mean, I assume you're in contact with a lot of instructors there. What's the situation like there?
It varies, because they did very much like in the US now. They took away the federal government's power, so it's it's very much a local decision. Local government decision.
So some people wearing masks, some people are distancing, some aren't.
Yeah, so like my city,
where are you from?
Belo Horizonte, is in southwest, so it's not southwest, southeast. So it's about south of Rio, about 4 hours drive. They were, last time I checked anyways, they were like full on lockdown. Like even buses from other cities could not enter the city.
Oh, wow.
They were like shut down tight. But I don't know if they still
academies were closed and everything.
Yeah, and like my state had 300 and something deaths, and it's about 26 million people in the state.
Oh wow!
So it's not the highest number of deaths in my state. So they kind of got a handle of it, but this virus is so bizarre. Like my aunt, her husband got it, and she didn't. And in Brazil, the system is so efficient that he got it. He got sick. He went to the doctor. The doctor said, that's nothing. Go home.
You're okay.
And,
just at home.
And then he continued to cough and all that. So he went back to a different doctor. And the doctor go, oh, yeah, you have a sinus infection. And gave him some antibiotics. And said, okay, you go home. So he goes home again, doesn't improve, goes back in again. And finally, they tested him. And then by the time they tested him, yes, he was positive. But the viral load was so low that he was no longer contagious. And then my aunt had a cough as well. She goes, I better go get tested. And she got tested and she tested negative.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, my sister got it. Yeah. My sister in the US, she said she thought it was the same thing. She thought it was a sinus infection. Yeah. She said she lost her sense of smell, she lost her sense of taste, and it just felt like, she said she thought she had like a kind of relatively severe, I mean, not really bad, but like an allergy flare-up.
Yeah.
That's what she thought it was. So yeah, it's super bizarre, right? Some people seem to get it and it's really quite bad, and most people seem to be fine with it. You know, are they getting any support? Any of the businesses and academies in Brazil? They just have to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
That's why you really can't say shit about Singapore's
exactly.
response, right? I mean, dude, the fact I tell my even my friends in the U.S., right, that we got 4 months of rent covered, and they're just like, what?
Yeah.
So we got 4. I mean, it really seems like the struggle is right now because we got 4 months and that ended in July, right?
Yes.
So we basically are going to have to go from August until phase 3. So hopefully it's like maybe 1 more month, maybe 2 more months, whatever the number is.
Yeah.
That's going to be the struggle, getting from the end of the government subsidies until we can actually get into phase 3 and rolling again.
Yeah, but I think you said it well. Like, we need to have something to look forward, right? Like, what are the I know it's a new disease and nobody really knows what to do and how to act, but in terms of managing the situation, like, what are we looking for? Are we looking for below 5 community cases for, let's say, 3 weeks in a row? Are we looking to 0 community cases for a certain number of days? And then we might see some loosening up of this, because we see there are a lot of places that they are doing contact sports, and I have not heard of a major cluster or a bunch of people that got infected in a gym.
I don't think it's happened to any gyms.
Like, Thailand has been open since July 1st.
Yeah.
Malaysia opened on July 15th, and I have not heard of a single case inside a gym. So I don't really know what are we looking for. That would be helpful to know, you know?
Yeah, especially when you go to the malls and
Yes.
you go to any of the food court and you see all these people and you're just like, damn, man, we can't have 5 people roll. Like, because I made a joke about it the other day. When you get sick, you still have to go eat. This is why most of the things happen at food courts, at malls, when people are going out to eat and stuff. Because even if you're sick, you got to go eat. If you're sick, you got anything, you're not coming into the gym to train.
Exactly.
If you're smart.
Exactly.
If you're smart,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's why most of those infections are going to occur where people have to go even if they are sick, right? But no one's going to go roll when
Yeah,
they're
like, I joke with my students all the time. Like, you can go to a fast food restaurant, you name it. I mean, I'm not gonna put any brand on blast, but you know those
Do
out
it,
there.
bro. It's fine. You can shame McDonald's. Go for it.
All right, let's do it then. So basically, yeah, you can go into a McDonald's, you and 4 friends, and sit very close to each other, no mask, ingesting poison, but then you cannot practice a sport which keeps you healthy mentally and physically. It's a bit strange to me. Like, I can't really see the reason on that. Like, we're not talking about leper here, you know, like touching skin to skin is not gonna give you the virus. It's not gonna increase your chance of getting the virus. So, I mean, I don't understand.
Yeah, just some sort of guidelines and knowing like when it's gonna happen. I'm optimistic, man. I think the worst part of it is behind us. We just got to keep struggling through this. But the best thing about getting clear guidelines is like, you know, when all these BJJ people can see, like, let's say hypothetically they say, okay, October 1st or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Whatever date. October 1st, we're going to allow contact sports again, limit 5 people, whatever the number is. People will start coming into the gym a little bit early.
Yep.
Right? So you'll get a pop. You get a pop of people signing up.
Exactly.
Okay, maybe we come in, we solo drill for a couple weeks just to get ready, to get back into the flow. Like, when you can see the end point, and you can see that, okay, things are going to start to get back to normal, that it will increase the general interest in some of these businesses, these gyms that are struggling, will get the pop they need to maybe
Definitely.
last them for the next month or however long that,
Absolutely.
you know, we're going to be struggling.
Yeah, that was the main thing that made me like kind of like get together with Prof. Pedro from Maverick was like the first couple of months, people, I mean, I'm very fortunate. I have a fantastic group of members at my gym. They're very like supportive, you know, even the ones that are not really into doing HIIT classes, and we have yoga, they're not very into all that. They're still coming every now and then, they're still supporting, but then 1 month goes by, 2 months go by.
Yeah.
Then you start saying, hey, can I freeze my membership? And we had a few people actually canceling the memberships, and then is a sign for concern, you know.
Yeah.
And the most important part is you can't take in new members because you're not really offering
Anything.
what
Any
you
service.
offer. Yeah, like,
no
I mean,
service.
somebody comes in and they join based on the classes that I'm offering now. Once phase 3, or they allow us, even if it's within phase 2, they allow us to go back to full contact. The class that I'm doing now, I'm most likely not what I'm going to be offering then.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go back to full BJJ.
Hell
And then
yeah.
if somebody
Absolutely.
signed up to do HIIT classes and then all of a sudden we're back to full BJJ, how do you manage that situation? That transition is a bit tough, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, I do believe that the worst is behind us, and now it's just be hopeful that we see some loosening of our social distancing measures in contact sports coming up.
Yeah, but I mean, really, especially the BJJ specific gyms, they really are the ones that are struggling, right? 'Cause
Exactly.
For us, we have Muay Thai and we have MMA and we have boxing, so like, it's kind of been nice because, you know, our gym was mostly BJJ people. I'd say 60 to 70% were like BJJ only. And then, you know, during this time, because people want to train, they just want something to do. So we've had a nice little pickup in some of the striking disciplines and stuff. But it's bizarre because I have maybe 10 new students that have signed up here. They just think I'm like a boxing coach. They don't even know.
That's crazy.
They've never done a jiu-jitsu class with me. They don't know. They just come in and we only hit the pads and all that kind of stuff because we had to make the decision like, okay, are we going to add a BJJ class now during like a solo drilling thing? And I'm just like, man, I think more people would rather do like MMA. We do the pad work. I tap the knee. They sprawl because you're allowed to do pad work.
Yeah.
Right. That's one of the few things that you're actually allowed to do. So striking classes.
But you're not allowed to do sparring, right?
Yes.
Which to me makes very little sense.
Because it's the same.
Not really the same. I mean, you fought MMA. I fought MMA. What are the chances that you're going to continue to walk forward? Is it in a sparring session or is it in a pad work session?
Yes.
Sparring, you kind of want to touch and get the hell out of there.
Yeah, you can't hang out.
Pad work, you're just going forward. And
every time you hit that pad, the fucking sweat is
exactly.
just like blasting
so
off
I was like,
you.
Okay, I get the clinch. It makes sense. No clinch
clinching.
work. But sparring, I believe that people should, if you're going to allow pad work, you should allow sparring.
Yeah.
Because the social distancing on a sparring session, it's bigger than it is in a pad work session.
I agree with you completely.
Because it's just forward motion, right? You're not getting hit, so we have nothing to fear.
Yeah, I think that, I'm thankful that they do at least allow the pad work.
Oh yeah,
because then we get some semblance of like normal classes. So then for our MMA classes, we do the pad work. I touch your knee, you sprawl. I give you a push, you break fall. I try to shuffle step, keep your feet on the hips, just technical stand up, just tiny little sprinkles of the little tiny bit of BJJ we can actually do. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just to get a taste.
Yeah, I mean, really, like anything is better than nothing.
Yeah.
Like I was joking to my students the other day. I said, "Oh, they've been rolling in Korea. They have to wear a mask while they roll," and everybody was like,
"They're wearing masks when they roll?"
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they can roll, but they need to wear a mask, which is kind of crazy.
I choke you with that shit, dude.
After a while, you basically sweatboarding yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The mask is getting soaked. You're breathing your sweat.
Just
but anyways,
you're waterboarding yourself on the.
And then everybody was like, yeah, that's crazy. And I was like, yeah, that's crazy. But let's say if the government told you tomorrow, you can roll, but you need to wear a mask. Would you say no, thank you? And they're like, no, I'll roll with the mask.
Absolutely,
I'll roll with the mask. We're all junkies, like needing a fix.
Exactly.
That's what we are at this point.
BJJ's our drug, man. We need it. We need a fix bad.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I again dreamt I was doing BJJ last night.
Yeah,
he's constant. Honestly, I'm like every other night. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing BJJ in my dreams. It's crazy. Like,
yeah, he said several times already that he's had BJJ dreams, and I'm like, I feel you, man.
Yep,
I feel you for sure.
Definitely hear that.
He's come in and started doing like the boxing classes and stuff, but he's like, yeah, but it's just not the same. And I'm like, I know, man. This is the longest break I've taken since college.
Yeah, I think like for a person who already likes BJJ to then pick up striking, it's the fun component. It's the fun component of it. Like, how long does it take for you to actually learn enough striking that you actually have fun doing a sparring session? Freaking long time, because it's not that easy, Getting punched in the face, and then it takes you a while to get used to that, and then actually enjoy a sparring session. BJJ, I don't care who you are, man. The first day you go to the gym, I actually do a survey with people that do trial, and I ask them what was the favorite part of the class, because I'll get them to do a little bit of something on the first day.
Yeah, me too.
Specific training, whatever it is, they're gonna actually experience the full thing.
So they know what the actual experience is, right?
Yes. And then every single time, what was your first favorite part of the class? Oh, the part that we're fighting. It's fun from day one. It's fun from the beginning. So it's a little different from striking. Like, it takes you a while to actually acquire the skills and understand striking well enough to actually enjoy and have fun doing it.
Yeah, that's why I can't get any of my blue belts and purple belts to drill, because they just want to spar all the time. I'm like, guys, you have to drill.
Yeah.
You have to drill. It's important. They're like, oh, they wanted the fun part, right?
I gave up on telling.
He gave up. Just roll all the time.
I told them, I said, you know what you guys are? You guys are like, when you were a kid and your mom said, hey, don't jump on the couch, you're gonna fall. And then you're like, oh, mom's so naggy. And then you go and you jump and you fall and you break your arm. That's what you guys are. We tell you guys, you need to drill. You just went from white to blue. At white belt, you're wrecking everybody. Blue belt, now it's different, my friend. You're gonna get people that are on the way out of a blue belt in a competition.
Yep.
You need to slow things down and they just probably think, Prof is so
Just
annoying.
want to spar.
And then they gotta go to a competition, get wrecked,
No,
and then they're like, oh,
I need to drill.
yeah, that guy actually knows a thing or two about what he's talking about. It's a funny thing.
And it's an endless cycle, right? You always see that. Every time you get the white belt up to blue, and then as soon as they're wrecking people in competition, and then they get the blue belt, then boom, they're right back down on the ladder, and then they go up, and then they get the purple, and then boom, back down.
And it's not for everyone that feeling that you have when you get a new belt, or even if, for me, I've been a black belt for 11 years now. Like, you roll with certain black belts, and you're like, oh my God, like there's always somebody out there better than you. I don't care who you are.
Absolutely.
I mean, coming from Brazil, I can tell you that like there is always going to be somebody out there. There's so many people in Brazil, they're so good and they'll never be seen. They can't get a visa, they don't have enough money, but you can see that the guy is good. So there's always gonna be, I'm sure there's people everywhere, they're like extremely good at it. They just never get a chance to kind of display that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's level. Like, you're a black belt. I'm like a white belt black belt. I mean, that's what it is, right? You've been a black belt long enough to get another black belt. Yeah. I've been a black belt for like 6 months. There's just no way it's the same. Like, there's just no way. Even at black belt, you go through that process, right? Where you're like, okay, a new black belt is basically like a higher level brown belt, and then you'll have some brown belts that can beat some black belts, and the belt doesn't fucking matter, right? I mean, there's just, if you're good, your skills are your skills, and that's why.
That's what I tell my students once they some of them, not a lot, some people, they'll get very, the kids very normal for them to be very like attached to the belt, to the stripes. I mean, they're kids. But every now and then you get an adult that's like that, right? Like, oh man, when I'm gonna get my blue belt, I want to get my blue belt. I always tell them, I say, listen, the skill level doesn't come with the belt, my friend.
Yeah.
The belt will reflect your skill level. So once you achieve the skill level, the belt will come. Don't worry about the belt, worry about getting the skill level. The belt is just a label. I'm just kind of like labeling you. Yeah. The same way if you have sugar and salt and they're both refined, you might want to label those things so you don't put salt in your tea.
Yeah.
Right? So you're going to label that
a great analogy.
For everybody to see. It's the same thing with the belt. Like, oh, but what about the stripes? And I tell them, the stripes is to separate, again, sugar and salt.
Yeah.
I have 2 blue belts. If I'm not teaching, I know everybody in the gym, but sometimes I might need my class to be covered. And somebody who's going to cover that class for me need to know the different levels that the class poses, right? So that's why I like to do the stripes. So anybody that will come and teach a class, they'll look at blue belt 2 stripes, they'll know that blue belt is more experienced. Not always, it doesn't always mean that he's better, but he's more experienced than a blue belt who doesn't have any stripes. So he's more BJJ mature. He's been doing it longer.
Yeah.
Or he's been a blue belt for longer, at least.
When did you start doing? When I started jiu-jitsu, I started in 2005. That was when I started jiu-jitsu, and I never heard of stripes until I moved to Singapore.
Yeah.
So maybe in 2011, 2012. When did you start doing that? Or when
stripes?
did you? Yeah. When did you see? Did you have them when you were training?
Yes.
We just got the belts. I never got the stripes until.
Yeah, it was very funny. So I didn't start with Draculino, so I started a very small gym.
That's who gave you your black belt?
No. Draculino gave me the black belt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I started in a very small gym. So I tell people all the time, I'm like, dude, I am not a natural for BJJ. I struggled through this thing. Like, I'm just very stubborn. And I never even thought about BJJ.
Dedicated, right?
Yeah, I never even thought about BJJ as a career. Like, I just loved it, and I was like, all right, let's keep doing this. But my first professor, his rule for a stripe was like, you go to a competition, you win a competition, you get a stripe. It was that simple.
That was simple.
It was that simple. So we had like 5 major competitions in my city. At that time, right? Which is like 5 stages of 1 state championship. So you go in. No, actually, if you win a competition.
So that was even from the beginning that you did stripes, like when you started. Oh, okay.
But it was a very funny thing. Like, if you get a 3rd place, but you had 2 fights or more, you get a stripe. That was his.
So it's purely competition based.
Yeah, it's kind of his lazy way of doing it, right? Because it's very easy to say, okay, you got a medal. How many fights? This many here. Then actually follow your progress. That's what I'm looking for. I'm seeing there's progress there. But yeah, so it was like that until I got to my purple belt, and then I left and went to Draculino. And Draculino striping is in Brazil. I'm sure that he does it differently in America, but in Brazil, it was like, you go the whole year, not a stripe. And then at the end of the year, then he'll give you the stripes.
More than one at a time, or would you just get one at,
If he
just
takes,
however many
he'll
want?
go, this guy's a blue belt, 4 stripe. Like, he's almost a purple. Here, 4 stripe. You don't have a single stripe in their purple belt.
4.
And then all of a sudden, 4. And I remember when...
So everybody's sweating. They're like, is it going to be 1, 0? Am I going to get 4? How's this going to go?
Yeah, I remember when I went to him, I only spent 1 year as a blue belt, and I got pushed to purple. And then I went to Draculino. It was my second year as a blue after my second year as a purple. And then I got my ass kicked when I first got there, which is what made me sign up. Like the first day I did class, I left, I was missing chunks of skin on my face.
Because you went from a small gym to like a big competitive gym, right?
And I had like a killer lineup. Like I rode, like the first day I went there, I rode with like Selmo Braga, Romulo Barral, Felipe Pena's older brother, Tio Chico, and all those guys just kicked my ass.
And
like
you're a
badly.
blue or you're purple?
I was a purple. Second year as a purple belt. And I was like, no, it was my third year as a purple belt. I had just done the second year.
How old were you then?
18, 17 or something.
So sorry, but when did you start training? Like
13.
when did you first start training?
I was 13. 1998. Yeah.
From American context, that's old school.
Yes.
Like it didn't even get to, jiu-jitsu didn't even get to America until like the mid 90s.
Yeah. Like nobody in Brazil even knew what it was. Like people would ask me, what do you train? Karate? And I'm like, no, jiu-jitsu.
That's why you didn't think there was a career in it, right?
Yeah.
Same
there was
thing
no
for me.
money.
There was no jiu-jitsu where I grew up. Like my first teacher was a blue belt, and he looked like a fucking wizard. Like you saw this guy tap out people over and over and over again because he was a blue belt. There was no black belt in like my whole state. So the idea of it being a career was just like
I see blue belts nowadays. Like they go to competition. Like how much are they paying? And I'm like,
I know.
What are you talking about, man?
They do the same thing for amateur MMA.
Yeah.
They pay amateur MMA people in Singapore and Asia. And I'm like, what?
When I fought MMA in Brazil for the first time, there wasn't even such a thing. My first fight in MMA was a pro
really?
fight. Yeah. I fought for $100 Singapore. Pride rules.
Oh, damn. Soccer kicks?
Soccer kicks, stomping.
Shit.
No elbows, though. But you can soccer kick somebody.
I'd rather have the elbow.
Me too. I was like, what is this? Like, it was insane. But yeah, so it was like a very different scene back then. They would say, what do you train? And I'm like, jiu-jitsu. Huh? What's that? And I'm like, kind of like judo. Oh, okay.
Wasn't it quite... That's interesting that you say that, because I thought, like, jiu-jitsu was in the media in Brazil since, like, the 50s and 60s, like, quite... But I guess not to the regular people.
It was in the media early on, in the 60s, 70s, and then it died out. Like, it just went quiet.
Oh, and so it peaked and then it went back down and then it started coming back.
Because the only thing you'd hear about jiu-jitsu in the media in Brazil is some guy that trains jiu-jitsu that went to a nightclub and beat up another 5 guys. And then that always looks bad. Or there was 3 or 5 guys in the beach in Rio that got into it. And again, that was the school rivalry at that time. The school rivalry was so big that they would actually meet up and go at it.
Dude, you got to tell me some of these stories, because Italo and Marcelo told me some stories back in the day from them getting in, like, you know, they would have like 5 GF team people here getting in fights with these people. They're like, these BJJ group would meet this BJJ group at a club or something, and they would just end up in these like street brawl.
It was crazy.
So it's interesting, right? Because in Singapore, like, there's a pretty big open mat culture here, right?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people go to a lot of different gyms. Like, nobody's really that territorial, and I think it's even gotten better as the years have gone on. When I first moved to Singapore, you know, like, Evolve they wouldn't go train with other people. Some gyms wouldn't go train with other people. But then over time, it feels like the community's embraced traveling for open mats, hanging out with each other. Like, I have students that train with me that have friends that are at other gyms, and they come here for open mats, and they go there, and I don't give a shit, right? They do what they want. And that seems to have gotten better here. But then I hear some of these stories about these like territory things
insane.
in Brazil.
Like in my city, the only really like legit gym that was present, it was Gracie Barra. So you had two factions of Gracie Barra. So you have Gracie Barra Draculino, but there was another Gracie Barra Caveirinha, and that was the biggest rivalry.
Really?
Within the same branch of Gracie Barra back in the day.
Oh, how's that happen?
It was, I don't even know how it started.
Was there a split from the? So what was the common link? There must have been a common.
So I believe, I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that. Draculino, if you listen to this, I'm sorry. But I think that they are both from Rio, and then they're both under Master Carlos Gracie Jr., and Draculino decided to move to my city. There was no jiu-jitsu there, like, really. Like, there's a few people here and there, but there was no legit jiu-jitsu. And that was like 30 years ago. So Draculino decided to go, and then later on, I believe that Caveirinha decided to move to the same city as well.
Oh, so, like,
so
he stepped on his turf.
Kind of, yeah. And but then like we used to hate each other, like hate each other for no reason.
The
I didn't even know.
competitions must have been insane.
We had to compete internally just to go to a competition.
Oh, so you had to compete in the gym to get a spot
Yeah.
to go to the competitions.
Yes, like as a purple belt featherweight, so like under 70, there was like 6 of us, and then Draculino's students would always also teach in different gyms, and then everybody would compete under Gracie Barra Draculino. So just at our place at Draculino headquarters, we had 6 of us. Then there was another 3 here, 4 there, 5 there, but you can only send 2. So we would organize an in-house competition, duck it out, and then whoever wins is the person who is team A. Whoever loses is the second team player on team B. Everybody can still join, but if you come across those guys in the competition, you have to open up for them. Because, I mean, they already kick your ass at the gym, right?
Yeah.
So why do you want them to do it in public?
That's how it is in wrestling, too.
Yeah.
Because I grew up wrestling in the U.S., and in American wrestling, you have to wrestle for your spot. Like, there's one position per weight class, right? So it goes all the way up from whatever, 120-something, all the way up to heavyweight. Yeah. Every few pounds, there's a new spot, and if you want to wrestle at the competitions, the only way to do it is to win your spot.
And I think it's good. I mean,
me too.
It's a different kind of training.
Yes.
Because you're actually training for competition. You're literally doing a mock competition.
It's not guaranteed, right, that you're even going to go.
It's not the fun rolling, which to me didn't make sense up until recently. I was like, what are you talking about? Having fun at rolling? Like, I always have fun when I'm rolling. I just prefer to be delivering the ass kicking rather than receiving it.
That's so funny too, because I was the same way. I used to be so intense about rolling, right? But then after the years and years and years, I was like, okay, I need to chill the fuck out. Like, I can chill and because also when you get the technique to a certain point, it's like, what am I going to do? Wreck my blue belts? Like, I chill, I go, I hit my moves. It's much more relaxed and controlled and experimental as opposed to when I was younger, when I was like playing my A game all the time, just trying to smash, just trying to always hit my best moves, you know what I mean? But I think it's like that too. If you're competing with people in your gym that are that high level, you can't really play your C and your D game. Yeah. Right? That's not the time to experiment. Because if you do, you're going to get your back taken, you're going to get choked, you know what I mean? Yeah, but the rivalry in the competitions were insane. Like, I remember this one time I was in Salvador, Bahia, competing like on a Pan Ams, and there was this one guy, there's 2 guys that are from Caveirinha, and I was from Draculino, right? And one of them was on my weight division. And then he got knocked out like in the 2nd round, 3rd round, and I won my division. And then I went for the absolute, and the other guy was like one division above me. So he's a middleweight, and I was lightweight at the time. And I fought this guy, and it was like a tough fight, and it was a draw, and the ref's decision, the ref gave it to him. I mean, he won the fight. If I'm being honest, he won the fight. It's not like, oh, the ref gave it to him. If I was the ref, I would also give it to him. But during the whole fight, all I could hear was the other guy from Caveirinha Talk.
I'm more you. Let's go, bro. And the fight was over, and I just looked at this guy after the ref raised the other guy's arm. I just looked at him, and I was ready to be like, "You come down here. I'll take you now." And then I looked back, and he goes, "Good job, bro. Good job." Then I had a torn meniscus, so I went back to my city, got my surgery done, and then we would have our Gracie Barra internal competition, which is for all Gracie Barras, right? And then my friend was organizing, and he said, "Hey, are you going to fight? You just had surgery." And I was like, the tournament was going to be 2 weeks after I had my meniscus surgery. And I said,
2 weeks?
Yeah.
Wow.
I said, if this guy, and I gave him the name, and I said, if he joins, and if you are willing to match me up with him in the first round, put my name down. And then he goes, okay. And then a couple of days later, he messaged me. He said, "Hey, he just put his name in." I was like, "All right, are you gonna put me with him first round?" He said, "Yes." I was like, "Okay, then I'll fight." I must have trained like twice. And every time I trained, my knee would just blow up, and then I had to ice the rest of the day. And then when it was time to compete, I competed with a guy, and it was like 7.5 minutes of like me just doing everything I could, not to submit him, but just to hurt.
Just torture him.
Just torture him. And then the last 30 seconds, I armbarred him and I won, right? And then the funny thing is, fast forward like 2 years, now we're all black belts. He leaves his gym, he comes to train at Draculino.
Oh, so now you're teammates.
Yeah, we became very good friends.
It's like that.
I went to his wedding. We travel all over the country competing together, and he's like, "Bro, to this day, I don't know what the hell you did to me on that fight as a brown belt. My shoulder still hurts." I was like,
"Dude,
sorry, bro."
I love how you were like, "I will risk my knee just to fight this guy. Like, I will risk grievous bodily injury to teach this guy a lesson." Because he was talking shit during one of my matches.
The thing is that he wasn't even talking shit. He was just supporting his friend.
Yeah.
That's
But you heard it and you were like, all right.
That's how crazy we were back then.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, I've fought people before that are like idolized, and I thought, oh man, I'm never going to be able to beat this guy. And then I got to fight, and the guy's kind of a dick to me, and I'm like, all right, that's it. And then I'll beat the guy. It just turns
so
personal very
satisfying,
easily. Like,
right? It must be so satisfying.
yeah, like there was this one guy I fought. I'm not going to say his name, but I can tell you off the air who the guy is.
All right, let's do it.
But I don't want to say his name. But I just know that when I fought the guy, it was my first year as a black belt. It was actually my first competition in Brazil as a black belt. And I went for this tournament, and this guy is originally featherweight, so under 70. And this tournament was under 76, so lightweight. And the guy, nobody had passed his guard since he was a blue belt. And I'm here like, I did nothing back then other than pass guard.
You were a top player.
I'm like, yeah, I think I'm gonna pull guard on this one because I'm no hero. If nobody passed this guy's guard since he was a blue belt, and he was like a black belt 3rd degree at the time.
Oh wow!
I was like, this guy's been around as a black belt, and nobody ever passed his guard. It's not gonna be me. So I come in, I'm thinking I have my strategy.
So your plan is to pull guard?
Yeah.
Because you're like, I'm not even going to go there.
Yes, and I'm thinking, but man, this guy's like an idol of mine. He's been around for so long. And then when I went to shake his hand, he just kind of like slapped my hand and backhand me on the chest really hard and walked back all hyper. And I was like, oh, that's the speed we're dancing. All right. And then I was like, I just saw red. And I said, okay, let's go. And then my plan was to jump guard and kind of stall him out a bit, because if the guy's that good at guard, his top game cannot be that good.
He spends so much time playing guard,
and so little on top. Like, you can't be that good on top. And I did get swept every now and then, so I had a little bit more of guard playing time than he had of top playing time.
Yeah.
So I was like, I like my odds there. And then it was the biggest like case of expectations versus reality. I thought, I'm gonna jump close guard, I'm gonna stall him out, and then after 5 minutes or so I'll sweep him.
Because just the stories got in your head, and so you
I'm visualizing that. Then I jump guard and I land in the shittiest of quarter guard situation, like
barely hanging on to the foot.
Mayday mode. I'm like, Mayday, Houston, we have a problem. And I go, you know what, screw technique. I grabbed a hold of that leg and I stood up, just slammed the guy down. I was like, okay, that's it, 2-0. And then I just kind of like just stall him out on top. I said, okay, you're very good on the bottom, but I'm decent on top. And guess what? I don't have to pass your guard. You already have to sweep me.
Yeah, you already have 2 points.
Yeah, so I just kind of chilled there. And then at some point we ran out of bounds. And I was like, yes, that's what I was looking for. Then I secured a legit closed guard pull. And I was like, all right, that's it. My work here is done.
My work here is done. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Those are hilarious stories. I want to. Jake, did she bring it in? Is it downloaded? Or did she give up on it?
We need to put the password in.
But it's finished downloading, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a break because I'll go to the bathroom. We can get another round of beers, and then we can turn the TV on and get the switchers set up for the.
Sounds good.
So we can pull up some stuff on the TV.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, everybody, thank you for listening. We will be right back. And we're back with Professor Bruno Amorim. We've got our new technology rocking and rolling. Dude, you were just telling me this crazy story about you cutting weight. Sorry to have to make you repeat it, but I just saw a picture of you at 66 kilos.
Yeah.
I can't fucking believe you ever made that weight.
Yeah.
How many MMA fights did you have?
6.
So you're that's decent. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a solid amount of MMA fights. And you fought at featherweight most of the time?
No, I only had one at featherweight.
What were the other ones at?
Lightweight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So why for that one? You were just like to see if you could do it, or?
Yeah, I mean, I had one at welterweight in the US because my opponent just pulled out at the last minute and there was nobody else there but a welterweight guy who his opponent also pulled out. So I was like, I'll fight that guy. I mean, I already did
Brazilians
the
are
work,
just like,
right?
whatever, man. Jake, can you pull up that picture, bro? I gotta see this picture of Bruno. Look at that shit, dude. Oh my God, you look dead. Look at his cheekbones. Can you zoom in at all? Is it possible? I mean, look at your face. You look like
Dead man walking.
I can see your cheekbones just like sucked in like that. That's you at 66 kilos, man. I
Yeah,
can't
that was
believe
rough.
that. What year was that?
2015? 2014? 2014.
So how was that weight cut? Was it brutal or was it actually like, okay, you managed to do it? How long did it take?
30 days.
30
So I literally went 29 days eating the same thing for
Chicken and veg.
yeah,
right?
breakfast, who am I kidding? Lunch and dinner. It was exactly the same thing. And it was crazy when I tell people, I said, I ate fried chicken every night, and I ate a chicken salad for lunch, and I had a granola bar before training in the morning, 9 a.m., for 29 days straight, and a gallon of water a day.
And exercising constantly,
Just training,
right? all the time.
training. That got me from 84 to 74 in 29 days, and then I lost the last 8 kilos in the last 24 hours.
Just the water
So
weight.
it's just sauna. Then I went to bath. Then we were in Beijing, so I lost 3-4 kilos in Beijing, and then I still had 4 to lose. And we drove from Beijing to Inner Mongolia, and then getting there, the hotel didn't have a sauna, so we had to go to the bathtub. But I have low blood pressure, so I go into hot water. My tolerance is like 5 minutes and I start fainting.
Oh, wow.
When I'm healthy. So when I'm half dead, I had to literally go in, stay 2-3 minutes, come out, and they'll just wrap me out on the comforter, on the blankets, right? And then I'll just be laying there like a burrito, sweating out.
Like a burrito. So what you're saying is the weight cut was really awesome. It was
yes.
really fun.
A lot
Really
of fun.
fun.
So I got down to 67 the night before. Weigh-in is supposed to be the next morning. So I said, 67? That's easy. So I'm used to cut weight for BJJ. You usually lose 700 grams, a kilo on your sleep.
Yeah.
So I said, I got cocky, so I ordered pasta.
Oh, bro.
I ordered a spaghetti and a
Not when
Coke.
you cut 20 fucking kilos or whatever the hell it was in 30 days.
I ordered a spaghetti and a Coke.
Oh.
And I was like, this is the best
It
meal
must have
of my
been
life.
so good. Yeah, it would have been so good.
Go to sleep, I wake up next morning, I'm 67.5, and I'm like, Jesus, I still have 1.5 kilos to lose. So
Back in the
fire up the bathtub.
Yeah.
So we go back in. I'm sitting there as long as I can possibly take it, and then I get down to 66.5 on my scale. So my experience with weigh-in scales, they're usually a little bit lighter than your
know.
scale. They
They know
what's
what they're
up.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? There's a tolerance. There's always 1 pound tolerance, right? There's always half a kilo tolerance. I'm good. This is not a title shot. I'm good to go. And then my cornerman go, no, but we need to check. And I said, I'm not going back on the bathtub.
Yeah.
And they're like, but I said, dude, I want to see who in this world would be man enough to make me go back on that tub.
Yeah.
The reality is anybody could just grab me by the ear and throw me there. I was
But in your mind,
dead.
you're like, I'll fight you now if you
Yes.
put me in that fucking bathtub.
So sure enough, I got into the weigh-in. I was 66.3. My opponent was 69.
So
and
he
I
missed
looked
weight.
bad.
Yeah, you look pretty bad.
But I looked twice his size, even that bad looking. And I was like, bro, I don't know what you gonna,
He's a thick,
how you gonna
thick
feel
boy.
tomorrow.
Yeah. So you're telling me that this is the fight that you said you leg kicked him to death,
Yeah.
basically, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you were telling me when we were on the break that you never really trained any leg kicks and you just found it in
Yeah.
the fight. Takio told you to throw the leg kick and
Yeah, there was one day that my Muay Thai trainer was trying to get me to do leg kicks in the training. I said, dude, why am I doing this? I'm
Was
not
that
gonna
you were
throw
training in
those."
Singapore?
Yeah.
Where were you training Muay Thai at?
I was actually training with this guy from, he teaches at Tanglin Community Center, Alvin Young. Alvin Young. So yeah, he actually went with us to China and all. Very good coach, very good guy. So he got me one day doing leg kicks. I was like, why am I doing this? I'm not trying to get my shin broken. I'm not doing that. And then as I'm walking out to fight, one of my cornermen, Takeo, said, hey, let's throw one leg kick. Let's see how he does. And I threw one and he didn't block. And I threw another one and he didn't block. And 45 kicks later, he's shooting for double legs.
yeah, exactly. He's shooting double legs. 45 kicks later. Yeah, you say you finished him in like a reverse crucifix like
Yeah.
on his back, throwing shots and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
How long did the fight go?
This was like maybe 2 minutes into the third round.
So your cardio held up even after
Yeah, it's
cutting all
fine.
that weight?
Yeah, it was fine.
Dude, that is great. I thought I cut a lot of weight. I mean, I cut from like 77, 78 to 66. And even still, that was pretty gnarly, but not from like 82.
Yeah, I was cutting weight. When was this? 2006? No, not 16. 2018. I was in Jakarta. I was with the national team, and we all went to a tournament, to the World Pro in Abu Dhabi, right? And I registered, but I wasn't sure if I was going to actually compete because I didn't have any high level people to train in Indonesia. So I was just training with my blue belts, white belts. There was one black belt from there that I could train with, but he was lighter than me. Then I was like, am I going to compete? Let's put my name there. Then I put my name on the division under 69 with the gi. So I get there, I'm like 78
Oh, God.
without the gi. And I waited until maybe I waited until the day before the weigh-ins. And then I had a friend who lived there, and he was always like asking me out to go out and drink and have fun and whatnot. So he called me out and said, hey, you want to go out tonight and eat something? And I said, okay, let me think about it. And my think about it was, let me step on the scale. If I think I can make the weight, I go to the sauna now. If I think I cannot make the weight, then I'll go out to have fun.
One or the other.
One or the other. Then I stepped on the scale and I was like 78 without the gi. And I was like, yeah, that's doable.
That was doable? I was going the other way. I was like, there's no way I would ever try to cut that if I can go out that
No,
night.
I went to the sauna and I had until the next day at 4 p.m. Not 4, 7 p.m. So I went down, did the sauna, went from 78 to 74. Then the next day I went from 74 to 67. 2 kilos for the gi, made the weight, hydrate with the
Man,
IV.
you can gain and lose pretty fast, hey?
Yeah, a lot of water weight.
Yeah.
Like a regular hour BJJ session, I'll probably lose 2.5 kilos just from water weight.
There's a Russian kid that trains here called Vlad, and he's one of those guys too. And he trains like 3 hours every single day. He does every class in the evening, 6 days a week. But every time he comes in, he'll lose like 5, 6, sometimes like 8 kilos
That's crazy.
at night. But I mean, he leaves a fucking slug trail all over the drink. Like, he's that guy. Like, if you go anywhere near where he's standing on the mats, you have a good chance of like tearing your ACL or something if you throw a kick just to slip. But fighters are weird like that because in some ways they're extremely disciplined, but in other ways they're not. Because even when I did my pro debut, I fought in Trinidad for a promotion called Cuff. And it was Caribbean Ultimate Fist Fighting, right? That was the name of the promotion. And I was living in St. Lucia at the time, which is like a small Caribbean island. And so we just had to hop islands or whatever to go for these fights. And, kind of their marketing was that they are in Trinidad, which is this island, and they would bring in people from U.S. and other Caribbean islands, and they'd do a fight card. And during the process of this, like, most people are coming in from overseas, so they would always they'd take the people out. So like one night before the weigh-in, they would always come and they would take all these people out. So I remember like all these people were cutting weight, dying. They go and they get hammered the night before the fights. So they're all the night before.
Good for you.
Yeah, I know exactly. It's like they're already cutting weight. Then they're like, "Fuck it, we're on an island. Let's go get hammered." So they go get drunk that night, and then they wake up the next day, and then everybody's at the gym doing the morning workout. You know, like these guys are over here, like the A team is over here, the red team or whatever, and the blue team is over here, and they split up the training. But then I just saw everybody was just like sweating, stinking. Like I walk in and the room smelled like booze, and we're supposed to fight the next day. So the weigh-ins are that evening, and then we had to fight the next day. And I'm like, these guys have been disciplined and they've been training all this time, but then they see, oh, can have a little fun tonight, new island, let's go. They all got drunk, like partying the next day. I was like, ugh, I don't know if that's the move, man. Stay disciplined for one more day.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt, right? I mean, you can do it all. You can do all of that the next day after the fight.
Yeah.
That's literally what I did. I had this crazy fight in Kazakhstan, and that's literally what I did. I got there, I was 82, and I had to cut down to 70. And then being in Kazakhstan and all that, they changed the fight like 3 days before they changed to 72 instead of 70, which to me was like, okay, less 2 kilos to cut. But yeah, that's all I did the whole week I was there. Just cut weight, make the weight,
relax, train,
fight. Then after fighting, then you can go out,
so
have some fun.
Where all have you fought? Because you already said Inner Mongolia, you fought in Kazakhstan. I assume you fought in Brazil, U.S.
Yeah, I had one in Brazil. I had 2 in Brazil, 1 in the U.S., and then I had 1 in Kazakhstan, 1 in Inner Mongolia, and 1 in Nanjing.
Nice. So you got to travel with your fighting as well. Do you still do the MMA stuff? Are you still working on your striking? You're just.
I literally train Muay Thai 1 month at a time.
Just when you have a fight.
I got a fight. Oh, okay. 30 days before the fight, I start doing Muay Thai.
I know so many people.
Immediately after the fight, I'm like, all right, back to BJJ.
yeah, dude. I know. Dude, that's the Brazilian move. A lot of Brazilians are like that. I know a bunch of them.
Yeah, because I mean, let's be honest. I'm not gonna become any Adesanya. Like, I want that fight on the ground as fast as possible, and that's it. I train Muay Thai enough to hopefully not get knocked out in the first round. That's all I want to do.
Because you're trying to get to the ground game, right?
At some point, yeah. I'm not going to rush, but at some point I want to.
What's your opinion on, so I want to get your opinion on 2 things. One is like, how highly do you prioritize takedowns in your training? Is this something, do you start most of your matches like on your knees, like for your students, or you, like do you guys start your rolls on the knees or on the feet?
It all depends on how busy the class is.
Yeah. That's
and the reality is, BJJ people are not very suited to learn takedowns. I mean, I'm a black belt in judo as well. One of my students the other day said purple belt. He said, "Oh, I wouldn't mind learning some judo." And I said, "Bro, you can't." And he's like, "Why?" I said, "You just don't have the attention span that needs. Are you going to do 500 repetitions of just the entries? Exactly.
100 fucking times.
Are you going to do 100, 500 uchicom just then you maybe throw the guy on the ground 10 times?" And he goes, "Oh no, fuck that." I was like, "Exactly."
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'll do most of our sparring sessions. If it's not a competition class, I'll start on the knees. Competition class, sometimes we'll start on the knees, but then there's sometimes that it's only takedown. It's takedowns only. Yeah. Sometimes I'll do 5-minute sparring, and immediately after the 5-minute sparring, everybody stands up, takedowns only, 2 minutes. So I call like 5 and 2, so we'll do like 5-minute sparring, 2 minutes takedowns only. So then at least you force the person who pulls guard all the time to at least experience standing up for a little bit.
Yeah. See, I go the other way with it. You're not allowed to pull guard in my class unless it's a competition.
Okay.
That's the only time you're allowed. Because if you're a really good guard player in my gym, then you can practice pulling guard when there's a competition because maybe that's the best spot for you. Mm-hmm. But everybody else that pulls class, like most of the time, it's just because they're fucking lazy.
Yeah.
Right? So they don't want to do the work that's required to do a takedown. So like, okay, you're a really good guard player in my class. That's your strategy going into the competition. Fine. We'll drill and we'll practice pulling guard. The rest of the time, I want them working on their takedowns just because the default is to pull guard just because they don't want to.
Because it's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my case, it's like I try to leave my students as free as possible to do whatever the hell they want. So like, most of my top students are guard players. Most of them. And I'm not a guard player at all.
You're passer, right?
Yeah, I prefer to be on top. But like if you get my student who's teaching Indonesia now in Jakarta, Alison, who was the professor here at Gracie Barra Singapore when I was in Indonesia, he's a guard player, 100%. Audrey is a guard player, 100%. And those are like a black belt and a brown belt. And then you go through my other purple belts at the gym, there's one or the other that's gonna be a top player. Most of them like to play guard. So like I usually, whatever they want to do, I just kind of like help them to improve that.
Yeah.
But I do stress the fact that you need to try as much as you can to be well-rounded, right? So you need to work on everything. But it's like sometimes I see this a white belt and a blue belt, and the white belt has been training for 2 months. The blue belt's been training for at least, my blue belt, at least 2 years. And I see that guy trying to take this white belt down for like 3 minutes. And I'm like, dude, how much takedown do you know?
Yeah. Then you got to be
Very
like, pick
little
a position, right?
And I'm like, and why in the hell are you not pulling guard on this guy? This guy doesn't know shit on the floor.
Yeah.
Standing up, you both kind of know the same thing because you're lazy ass. You always pull guard. Pull guard on this guy and get the ball rolling, you know? So
yeah, after a certain point of stalemating, then I'll tell them, okay, pick a position.
Yeah.
You top or after a certain point.
Yeah.
But it also depends on, I think, every teacher and every professor, every coach has a lens that they view the training through, right? I mean, you're a BJJ competitor at your heart, I assume, right? I mean, of course you've done the MMA and you've done the striking and all that kind of stuff too, but and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're like a gi jiu-jitsu. That's how you would. Do you do a lot of no gi as well? Mostly gi, right?
Mostly gi, because coming up in BJJ in Brazil, there's very little no gi competitions at the time. So basically, what we would do, the only no gi competition we had in my state was like a Draculino organized competition. He would organize once a year a no gi competition, and that was non-optional.
So it's like 98% is gi competition.
So we're all training with the gi. 1 month before the no gi competition, non-optional. There was no gi training in the class, in the gym. It was all no gi. There wasn't a single gi class. Everybody's gonna train no gi.
For how long?
30 days before the comp.
1 month before the comp.
And everybody's gonna compete. And then Draculino was always pissed because like, why don't you compete more in no gi? I think you're better in no gi than you are in the gi.
You're like, because there's
and I'm like, I don't fucking like it.
So that's what makes it interesting, right? Because my first sport was wrestling. That was the first thing I ever did. I found jiu-jitsu through, wrestling and MMA. That's how I learned what it was. And so I tend to view things through that lens. And then, like, I'm an MMA coach. I would call that's my martial arts is my highest priority, right? So I do equal amount striking, kicking, takedowns, wrestling, jiu-jitsu. So we split the schedule, right? We do half the time no gi, we do half the time, and then all the striking, gi, we mix it up. But I like the whole well-rounded thing. And the downside to that is, like, my students are going to struggle going into gi competition with people like you who are gi masters, but then you have a well-rounded gi. Like, so I always say this to my students, right? Like, if I roll against the Brazilians, like world-class Brazilians in jiu-jitsu, gi, I'm going to get fucked up. If I spar with the Thais, like Muay Thai, I'm going to get boxed with the Americans, like all that kind of stuff. But if I can have a chance to put it all together, then at least in certain areas I can be competitive, right? And that's always the lens through which I view it, which is like an MMA type lens. And the downside is that you lack specialty.
Yeah, being the specialist, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so in my case, what I do is we do primarily gi, and I have a few no gi classes, but I do not allow anybody to do no gi only. I don't have no gi only people.
What's your take on like the new stuff, like the heel hook game, the sort of modern no gi style? Are you into those? Do you do heel hooks in your no gi classes?
No, I mean I teach them, but like I am all for it. Look, if it's legal
in the competition,
whatever competition you're gonna do, let's say you compete for ADCC. If it's legal, go for it. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, back in the days in Brazil, like if you go for footlock, you were seen as like you being lazy. Oh, you don't know how to pass guard, that's why you go for footlocks. I'm like, that's bullshit, man. If it's legal, go for it. I do take an issue when people make it the game. Like all they're trying to do is footlocks. You don't see anybody who's successful doing that. Yeah, you have Gordon Ryan, great leg lock game. But make no mistake, he'll take your back and choke your ass out.
He's got the best rear naked choke in the game.
Craig Jones.
Yeah.
He'll take your back and choke you out. He'll
Yeah.
triangle your ass.
They're not one-trick ponies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when I see this new generation, all they focus is like leg lock, leg lock, leg lock, leg lock. It's a bit much to me because like I do find that they're fairly easy to avoid.
If you know the defense.
Exactly. I'm not gonna sit here and pull like a who was it, Vini Magalhães. Oh, leg locks don't work.
Don't work. You get your leg destroyed in that competition with Craig.
Of course they work, but I do find that they are fairly easy to defend. Like if you know the defense, not even defend. There's some of these guys like Gordon Ryan start doing his ashigaramis on your legs. I'm sorry, the chance of you escaping is very small. Or a guy like Craig Jones, or even like Lachlan Giles, who's doing very well now. Chance of you escaping them is kind of difficult. I find that they're fairly easy to avoid.
Yeah, you have to stay out of the positions.
You need to control. If you manage the distance well and you understand the danger, you can't take it for granted. If you understand the danger of them, of the leg locks, it's fairly easy to avoid being caught on them.
Did you get to train with that Robert Deagle guy when he came here? Did you get to roll with him at all?
I didn't. My wrist was broken.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
unfortunately.
mean, he was damn good,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
That's when I started to see
He came by the
like,
gym and rolled with some people. He did a seminar there at
yeah, he
Gracie
did
Barra.
us here. as
But
well.
like, I wish I had
It would have
the
been interesting.
opportunity. Yeah.
It would have been interesting, especially if you did only no-gi. And I mean, again, my lens is always MMA. And you rarely see, with the exception of like Ryan Hall, I mean, he heel hook BJ Penn with kind of that Lachlan Giles style heel hook.
Yeah.
But it's really rare that in a fist fight when you could, because you need the two hands to go to the heel, and then
Exactly.
you can start to punch, and then you're on
BJ
your back. And
BJ
there's
Penn
all
kind of
these-
turned to the wrong side on
Yeah,
that one as well.
yeah, I think
I didn't really understand that
I think
one.
he took for granted.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he also, and Ryan Hall, Imanari rolled into it too.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure that he was really expecting.
Man, Ryan Hall is a weird dude. I fought him before in the gi.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, thank God there was no leg locks or shit. But
How'd
like,
the match go?
the most boring fight of my life. Yeah, because I mean, he.
When was
pulled
this? When was this?
2012 on Houston Open.
Was he a black belt already?
Yeah.
Oh.
So he pulled guard when inverted, and I was like, nah, thank you. I don't want any part of your 50-50. So I just kind of like sprawled out and I stayed there, and he wouldn't come back to conventional guard.
So
I
he's just inverted the whole time?
yeah, the fight is YouTube. It's like it's a boring fight. So it was controversial in the end because at some point I lose my patience, and I rush in and he catches me in a triangle, and then on that triangle I just hit. Draculino was calling for me to be patient the whole time, and then of course I lose it at some point. I was like, I've had enough. I'll go in. He spins and does a like inverted guard to triangle transition. Catches me in a triangle, but he's much smaller. Like, I don't know why he was fighting at a lightweight division. So I just kind of like pulled out of it, and I just heard Draculino say, "Now, pass this motherfucker's guard." I go, okay. And right through, I pass his guard, and then he's trying to go inverted still. It took literally 17 seconds of me like just grinding this guy chest to chest for the referee to actually give me the points for the pass. By the time he gives me the points, I'm exhausted. So I kind of like try to transition to something else. So both stand up. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pull guard on this guy. And then me, the black belt in judo, fighting against a guy who only pulls guard. I go to pull guard, and he was soto-guy the shit out of me.
Oh, really? Oh, damn.
I fall flat on my back. I'm like, what the
So you, the judo black belt, were like, oh, I'm going to pull guard, and then he
Yes.
Osotogari'd you. Because you weren't expecting the Osotogari.
No, I just didn't want him to pull guard again because I was just too tired. I'm like, I don't want any part of that anymore. So he's Osotogari is me. I catch him in half guard, and then my friend is next to Draculino coaching
So
me.
it's
He
2
goes,
and 2 at that point, is
no,
it?
3 for me for passing, 2
3
for
and
him.
2. Oh, okay.
And then my friend is like, Habinho. And then I looked at him, and I'm expecting like, hold on, let's stay in seconds, because I was so tired. And I look at him, and he goes, just stay there. There's only 1 minute left. I'm like, Jesus, I don't have another minute here. So I'm holding on for dear life. He's trying to do that half guard roll from the top. You roll to take somebody's back.
Oh, yeah. Turning your way
Yeah.
through. Yeah.
So he's trying to do that. I'm like, dude, that's cute. You're so light. You're not gonna roll me over. And then I'm just hanging on there. I was like, oh, he can do that all day. Then the ref of my fight is here. The ref of the next match fight is here. And that guy goes, Paro. So I stop. I thought it's my ref. I relax. At the same time, he's flipping me. He flips me, takes my back.
Oh, shit.
But he has his feet crossed.
Yeah.
And you don't get the points if you take somebody's back and keep your feet crossed.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to open the escape. We run out of time. So the ref gives him an advantage, and I won. So the end of it was very exciting, but the first 7 minutes of I was like boring. Even I cannot bear to. I like to read the YouTube comments.
Yeah, oh yeah.
People, oh,
What do
Ryan
they say?
totally
They just talk
dominated
shit.
this guy. Oh, this biased Brazilian refs.
That's your first mistake is reading the YouTube comments, bro.
No, I love it.
You love it?
I love it. I'm like, dude, come on. Do I agree that it's a dumb rule that if you take somebody's back and your feet across, you don't get the points? Yeah, I agree. I think if you take the back, you should get the points. But hey, that's the fucking rules. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't make them. I just abide by them.
But I mean, they make that because of that foot lock, right? But
It's the foot lock, and it is considerably harder for you to actually escape a back control if the feet are crossed or if you have a body lock.
yeah, that's why it should be higher priority, I would think. I mean, the foot lock is there, but you almost never see anybody actually get submitted with that foot lock. It seems
white
like
belts.
Huh?
Only white belts.
Yeah, exactly. So then it's like it seems like actually crossing the feet, especially if you cross them like high in the crotch.
Yeah.
If you cross low, then it's easier to catch that foot lock. But if you're high in the crotch,
Yeah.
then even still, it's like almost impossible to actually foot lock somebody from
Yeah.
that. And it seems like to me that's just a closed wedge, right? If you cross
Exactly.
if you close the feet, it's more difficult to escape.
It's like I tell people, I say, look, the tournaments have the rules, and you only have two choices: take part or not take part.
Yeah.
You're not gonna change the
'Cause
rules of a competition.
You're not going to be able to negotiate with the referee. They don't give a shit, or
Exactly.
the judge. They're
Yeah.
not going to like.
I mean, if I don't like it, like people say, oh, how come you never compete like submission only? It's a big thing around here, right? People love to do the submission only. I'm like, dude, you're gonna have to pay me some money if I'm gonna go there and fight somebody to the death. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
What do
It's
you-
not about their life.
Do you have any other like really interesting competition stories? Like any other guys? You okay, Wugan? Wugan almost died just now. Oh my god. Can you put the camera on Wugan so we can all see his hair? Is there? Oh, we don't have the third. We don't have the third camera. Wugan, I tried. Come here, real quick. Just jump in here, so we can see. Come on. I want to see your. You have Fabio hair right now. I already said it, so now you gotta come. That's it. Get in here. Look at that. Give it a flick. Yes, beautiful. All right. Love having you back, Wugan. Anyway, sorry for that.
Like a lion, man.
Exactly. It's beautiful. Do you have any other interesting stories? I mean, I didn't know you competed against Ryan Hall.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who else? Do you have any other really good, interesting match stories of people, of competitions against someone that
Yeah,
people
I
will
mean,
know?
my Worlds finals, when I actually won the Worlds, I was a brown belt. So I fought JT Torres in the finals. And it was like, he was almost like he was the closest thing to a brown belt superstar at that time. He had just won double gold Europeans. And he was just like, it was just funny because I popped my knee on the very 10 seconds of the very first fight. And I came out, I'm like, that's it, I'm done. I iced my knee and I sat there, and then they called my name and I was like, screw this, I'm going. So I went in for the second fight. But the funny thing is they always called me and JT at the same time to fight. And we'd both go in to fight, and I'm still like slapping and fist pumping and feeling my opponent out, and I hear the crowd going crazy, and I look over and JT submitted somebody. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And I go 8 minutes, and I win by points. Then we come out, they give us a break, we go back again. So 4 fights down the road, it's me and JT, and I'm like, oh boy, now I have to fight this guy. Okay, so I gave my friend a travel insurance card, and I said, here, if I need it, because there's no way in hell I'm tapping. If that guy gets me in a toe hold, he's gonna take my foot home, because I'm not tapping. So we go in, and he pulls guard, his open guard, so I start going side to side, going crazy. I get a couple of advantage, and then he finally sucks me into close guard, and he locks it. That's it. He body locks me from guard, and I'm like standing up, shaking him. I'm not really shaking him, I'm already winning. I'm like, I put my hand on his knee, and I'm like, I'm not really pushing. I'm like, bro, you're losing. You can hold that all you want. I don't care.
Eventually, you got to do something.
So that's pretty much how we went down. It was like, I was telling James earlier, like, it's funny the day before, Draculino goes, we're eating acai, like, casually, and he goes, you know what? If you win this thing tomorrow, I'll give you a black belt. And I go, oh, okay.
He told you straight up.
Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
And he goes, no, seriously, like, I think you're good enough to win this thing. You're just too stupid when you compete sometimes. And it goes,
You're like, okay.
thanks, I guess. So yeah, so after I won, like the belt, of course, is special to get your black belt and get your black belt from a legend like Draculino. But at that day, it was secondary. Because like,
You're focused on the competition,
I
right?
had never won a gold medal in IBJJF. I'm competing in IBJJF for like
This was Abu Dhabi, right? Is this,
no in the US.
Oh, this was the IBJJF.
IBJJF
Oh, okay.
Worlds. So like I'm competing IBJJF since 2005. So it's 4 years of like non-stop competing IBJJF, and I never win anything. I won like a bronze medal in a Rio Open once, and then I go to the Worlds and I get a gold medal. I was like, okay. And then
Everything just came at the right time.
at the right time, yeah.
Yeah, I remember Jake telling me a story. Jake McKenzie told me a story about.
That motherfucker beat me in the Pan Am.
Yeah, that's what I didn't want to say it, so
He
I
was
like,
the only one to beat me. I was like, what the hell was that? Like, but he's just such a nice guy.
Hey, I know you can't. That's the thing
I
about
usually
Jake,
hate
right?
people that beat me, and I keep a grudge because like I feed off
He's
of it.
Canadian, dude.
It's
He's so
impossible,
fucking
yeah,
nice.
Like I helped him to. He was doing a seminar in Tokyo in 2018, so I was there with the Indonesian national team. So I was assisting him to do the seminar. So I was like being the dummy, and he was teaching in English, and I said, dude, it's such a bizarre thing to hear you speak in English.
Yeah, because you're used to only seeing him speak
Almost
Portuguese,
Portuguese, and it's like it's a very real Portuguese.
Because he did the full thing. He moved to Brazil,
Yeah.
married a Brazilian,
Yep.
like spends all of his time in Brazil or traveling up
Yep.
to that point. Like he went.
He embraced it, yeah.
Yeah, there's no gringo shit with him. I mean, he went in,
Yep.
married a local, like did the whole thing.
Definitely.
I mean, I live in Singapore. My wife speaks Chinese. I'm not learning the language. Like,
Yeah,
you know?
that's too difficult.
You know?
I tried at first because I mean I learned English on my own. I said I can do that with
Your
Chinese.
English is really good, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I learned watching movies.
Really, that's it?
Yep.
I mean, I'm actually surprised. I mean, of course, I've seen you talk at competitions and I've seen you around and stuff, but like, we've had a like we've been talking for an hour and a half now, and like really specific like
Yeah, I mean the OCD
language,
helps.
really good. The OCD helps.
So like every time I if I say a word wrongly, I cannot just keep going. I have to come back and like fix that. But like
But your vocabulary is good. Your accent's good. Like
I read a lot of books, and it got to a point that I had to learn English. It was either there or starve. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna learn this. And then Audrey, she has a background in journalism, so she has like excellent English. So she corrects me a lot. Like every time I say a word that's wrong, there was this one Instagram live that I kept saying like, I always like to. How did I say? Was it impart? No, I don't remember the word. Yeah, impair. I kept saying impair. Yeah, and it impart on somebody,
Oh,
right?
okay.
And then after that, she told me, and I'm like, couldn't you have messaged me there? Like the first time I said it, like Jesus.
and then you're like 100 arm bars, go.
Yeah.
Like you correct me, then I correct you, huh?
Yeah, but like, it's something like I thought I could do it Chinese, but then it got too complicated.
It's tough, right? With
Got too
the
complicated.
tones.
And the Chinese people from China, they're more lenient. Singapore and Chinese, they are ruthless.
Is it?
Like if you don't say the word exactly the way they expect. I've been with Audrey for 2015, 5 years. I still cannot say her Chinese name. Apparently,
Apparently.
I can't say it. Every time I say, she's like wrong.
I don't even
Wrong.
try. My nickname for my wife is Ching Chong, so I've got no leg to stand on here.
Luckily, she actually has an English name as well. So I gave up on. I said no, Chinese. Not for me.
Charmaine's is easy, right? My wife's name is Charmaine, but her nickname or her her Chinese name is Shimin. So Charmaine, Shimin. It's like they just
okay.
took the English version and they're like, okay, that's her name now.
Okay, yeah. Audrey
very
actually is her first name is actually Audrey, so like that's easy enough for me.
Yeah. Well, this was interesting, man. I really enjoyed sitting here and chatting with you.
Yeah, man, it was fun. I can't believe it's been 90 minutes already.
At least. What's the time?
Yeah, you're going.
I see a red light there,
1:30.
which is why I'm concerned because I see a red light flashing there. But anyway, yeah, man, this was great, right?
Yeah, it was fun.
Bro, you're welcome back anytime.
Anytime, man.
This
Let
was
me
an
know.
excellent podcast. I enjoy shooting the shit with you. We didn't even really get to talk too much about like the lineages and stuff, and I'm quite interested because Nick gave me my black belt. Nick
Yeah.
Gregoritis gave me my black belt, and then Hodger gave him his. So we have a joint lineage. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really fascinated about all this stuff, especially when it goes back to Brazil because I don't. you
Yeah,
know what
man. I mean,
I don't know a lot about it.
Roger's great. I mean, I trained with him once. People always ask me, "Did you train with Roger?" And I was like, "Yeah, I trained with him once." And they're like, "Is he strong?" And I said, "Hell if I know," because I didn't use any strength with him. Because what if he decides to use on me? He'll break me in half.
Yeah, you don't want to go down that road,
It's like
right?
2 days before I compete at the Worlds. It's the biggest tournament of my life. I'm not gonna use Stronghold or Gracie. Let's be honest here.
It's
Like,
not a
I
good
don't have
move.
anything.
Yeah.
So, but he's the nicest guy, man.
He's so nice.
Nicest
Did you
guy.
ever meet Nick?
No, I
I
never
mean,
met
Nick's
him.
a fucking gorilla too, man. I mean, he's a big
Oh,
dude,
wow. Yeah, never
big,
met
strong
him.
guy. Yeah, but anyway, it's interesting. I'll have you back if you want sometime. We'll
Yeah.
chat. You live nearby. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, just
and then
I could literally walk over.
beautiful. Next time we'll be more prepared.
No worries.
For the
no worries at all.
listeners, we just figured out this switcher. There's a whole long process for getting this shit worked out. I'll put out a picture on the Instagram so you can see this insane setup that Wugong and Jacob.
Oh, but it was worth
have
it.
done.
I mean, you got to show my half,
It was all- dude.
half dead photo.
That was the only thing we got is you like mangled and dead with your 6-pack on the weights. on
We can
scale.
literally show any image in the world we like, and that's the one we went for.
That's the one we went for.
Exactly.
It was all for that, bro. So
It was worth it.
hopefully we make that picture of you famous where you're just dying on the scale.
That'll be awesome.
All right, everybody. Bruno, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Bruno Amorim. Check out Gracie Barra Singapore. This is a Stronghold podcast. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Wugong. Okay, we're out. See you.